Hello, everyone. I hope everything is okay. I hope you are okay. And today I'm bringing an interesting topic for you because it's a new year. Is maybe you have a goal set in your mind about get residency here in Mexico. And today, well, I made certain varieties of broadcasts explain about Mexican migration. Today, this topic is about the timeline when you start in the Mexican consulate until finish in the INM, and recover your resident card. Okay, this is the idea today. I'm going to explain with you this topic because it's important for me that you are informed in these kinds of topic because I told you in the beginning, maybe your resolution in this year is get residency here in Mexico. But you didn't understand what is the time in obtain your Mexican visa and after and obtain your resident card. I'm going to explain with you certain considerations that you need to know and before dive in this topic, in this experience, because you need to understand something. Everyone have their own experience, cases. It may be for another people or another foreigners or applicants, that is the correct word, applicants, they got more quickly their Mexican visa and residency card than others. Yes, because they are lucky persons and you don't have that lucky chance, yes, to obtain that circumstance and quickly. But in this case, I need to set in your mind that no, it's not in consideration. It's not because they are better than you or because they have more privilege or whatever. All depends the criteria for any place, for any official consular, for any official INM staff. They determine what happened with the circumstance. Yes, what happened. It depend on the IN office. Yes, a lot of considerations, but my focus is you need to understand the timeline. Okay, let's start. I'm gonna share with you my screen. Mm, Let me see if this one is. Um, so let me check if my this one is working because I don't notice anything on my. Mm, yeah. Oh yeah, he's working. Perfect. Let me hear if my voice. You are able to hear me. Sure, it's working well. Perfect, guys. This is the topic Mexican residency timeline, and I told you in my overview. And the intention creating this topic is because you need to understand that any procedure, any Mexican procedure, and not only in Mexico. This happens in any place. I'm sorry, my phone is full. Uh, Well, and happen in any country because any procedure, immigration procedure, have their own criteria depend on the country. Yes, in this case in Mexico, maybe you hear this word and it's not a new word, but applies in any country. But maybe you hear this word bureaucracy. Yes, I hope say correctly. If not, well, What is the point? And bureaucracy is very normal here in my country. Is completely normal, and sometimes there are, you know, institute or office, and who they are more quickly. They get resolution more quickly than another office who they are more slowly because they maybe and they have a lot writers the applicants who they trying to get residency. They have another questions, another wondering information. Well, so those kinds of circumstance prolong your resolution about your circumstance, okay, about your procedure. But you need to understand that wherever you go, bureaucracy is very normal here. Very well, let's do it with the topic. The first point is you need to understand that exists different categories to apply for residency here in my country. Yes, the 19% about those categories you need to apply outside my country. I said you 19% because the 10% you are able to apply here in Mexico, inside Mexico, but you need to fall in certain conditions. Yes. Well, in this topic, I'm going to explain with you when you apply outside my country. Yes. The first point is you need to make an appointment in the Mexican consulate. Whatever you are, before comes to Mexico and obtain a resident card, you need to understand that the first touch is the Mexican consulate. Yes, you are not able to avoid it because they, give you that Mexican visa. That Mexican visa, who I'm gonna show you in image, that is very important for you, and stick that Mexican visa on your passport if you want to get residency here in Mexico. But a lot Mexican and consulate have different options to make this appointment. Yes, for example, in email, on WhatsApp, by phone, or in this mandatory, website, official website. The web is citas.cre.gov.mx in Spanish, okay? Because es important, es importante por tu aprender español también, okay? But well, those are those options are important for you to understand. Always, I said this point. You need to know your Mexican consulate. You need to become your Mexican consulate as your friend. Yes. Why? Because it's important. The first point is know how are those official consulate, you know, who does those stuff. They are friendly, they are unfriendly, maybe they are quickly, getting procedures, or maybe they are slowly, how they give um, appointments, yes, for example. And well, when you know completely how works your Mexican consulate, you have the first step completely advanced. Why? Because the Mexican consulate is the most important for you. Because in that Mexican consulate, you need to bring certain documents, yes, and you need to understand what is your category. Because, for example, if you apply for financial solvency, okay, you know, according that Mexican consulate, what is the amount in financial solvency to apply for residency, yes, for temporary residency, or for permanent residency. Yes, but you know it. And it's important for you to understand how works your Mexican consulate. But well, those are the options. Trying to see what is the correct way to get an appointment. Okay, this is certain examples that you are able to get appointments. It's not a guarantee, of course, but sometimes work like this. For example, those examples about Mexican consulates for in Tucson, for example, um, it's more easy for you to get an appointment walking in that Mexican consulate. Yes, you don't need to make an appointment in email or maybe on the official website or maybe call. The only option for you is you need to go to that Mexican consulate and you need to bring, of course, all the documents, all those criteria could they need it for apply for that temporary residency, that Mexican visa by temporary residency. In Las Vegas, for example, you need to send an email, Visas Las Vegas. You need to send an email, and another consulate, Mexican consulate is Paris, for example. In this circumstance, you need to make your appointment in that official website. Yes, the interesting about this Mexican consulate is they have certain calendar. For example, I share with you in this presentation that example about the calendars for appointments. Yes, for example, those appointments are update in this year, because you maybe you notice that. Um, well, I don't know how to. Let me show you more. For example, in this circumstance, maybe you notice that this is the example. This Mexican consulate in Paris, they are more organized to make an appointment. Yes, but where you can able to make an appointment in this official website. Yes, those appointments are updated. Another example is the Mexican consulate in Los Angeles. For example, this consulate is very interesting because if you are not living in that city, you are not resident living in that city, the only option for you is making an appointment on email. Yes, in visasconla@cr.gov.mx. But if you're living in that city, if you have a residency address in that city, and you are able to make an appointment in this famous app, Mi Consulado. Yes, but only you are able to apply in that option if you have an address in that city. Okay, this is a very important example for you because it's my intention. You need to understand how works your Mexican consulate. When you know how you can get an appointment in that Mexican city, you have in another side. Very well. The point here, make an appointment in Mexican consulate, maybe take you 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, or 2 weeks, 1 month, or 3 months, depend on that Mexican consulate. Okay, it's not quickly. However, I told you, trying to become familiar how works that Mexican consulate. You living there, maybe you know or you see certain applicants, people who apply for residency and U.S. citizenship, and trying to ask them, hey, how you get your appointment in this Mexican consulate? Yes, trying to meet people close there, how they get that appointment. Yes, maybe it's more easy for you. Is my recommendation. He you don't working with immigration facilitator or immigration lawyer. Yes, you don't need that. If you don't need them, you you try to apply this journey for yourself. Okay, my recommendation for you is trying to go in that Mexican consulate and check out how is function that Mexican consulate and meet the people who are there. Yes, because maybe those people apply for Mexican visas and for residency. He trying to ask for their experience. Hey, how you got your appointment here in this Mexican consulate? Okay, it's my recommendation. Trying to do that. Well, when you get that, you fall in certain process. Yes, those process are in Spanish because I took this information and let me show you in another screen. Okay. If you are able to speak in Spanish, if you are able to read in Spanish and hear in Spanish, I recommend that with you this information. Okay. You are able to find it in the Diario Oficial de la Federación. It's the Gazette, official Gazette here in my country, where you are able to, find update information and what happened in my country about the Mexican law or Mexican system law. Okay, I hope say correctly. This, agreement is called Acuerdo por el que se da a conocer el protocolo de atención para trámites en las oficinas consulares de México. It's an agreement for you are able to know what is the protocol in service for Mexican or no consulars procedures. Yes, the Mexican appointment. Sorry, trying to do procedures in Mexican consulate. Yes, that is um, the point about this agreement, this acuerdo. Okay, in this circumstance, what is the point? How you are able to find these kinds of information? For example, this agreement are posting or public. No, it's published. Maybe you follow the point. Is in 21 in May in 2025. Okay, it's the last year. It's better recently. It's no 2 years or 3 years ago. No, it's recently. The next year is today is January. It's no longer the point. But what is the circumstance here? How works when you get your appointment? What happened after you get your appointment? Okay, in this circumstance, solicitud de visa, and this is the information that you need to. That I'm gonna show with you. For example, this is the tale about that procedure. Okay, descripción narrativa. I don't know how to say the narrativa in English, but I'm gonna share. I'm gonna come you how works this procedure. For example, according to this agreement, say solicitud para personas extranjeras ante oficinas consulares. Requestment for foreigners who they make procedures or doing procedures at Mexican consulates. Yes. What is the point? You need to make an appointment because the first procedure is los solicitantes deben agendar una cita a través del sitio, the official website who I share with you on my presentation. Yes, in these circumstances in English is the the applicants need to make an appointment in this site. Yes, but well, I told you, not always. The Mexican consulates works like this because they have different criteria to make an appointment. When you finish that, you start the second point is revisar la documentación que presentan las personas solicitantes y cumplir con los requisitos. Se proporciona el acceso al área conducente. Okay, what do you mean that? The official, consular check out your documents because you bring documents in that appointment. Yes, you bring certain documents, and those official consular check out if your documents are filled in the correct way, and you bring all the necessary documents. Your documents are legal, are authentic, whatever ever kinds of criteria who they apply. Yes. The third step is is ventanilla de documentos. For example, I don't know, the Windows documents, or an spot who sometimes there are someone who attend you, yes, give them a service and check out. Or imagine that when you go to the bank, yes, there another person upside in front you, but in another side, and give you a service. Yes, imagine that. That is the main ventanilla de documentación. In this step number 3, say, pide a la persona solicitante proceder con el pago. And the official consulate requests you to pay them the fee, because you need to pay a fee for this procedure. And the point is the second in line say, realiza la inspección documental requerida, check out the documents. The number 3 line say, captura en el sistema los datos biográficos y biométricos, back up on the system your information, yes? Where they take on your biometrics and, take a picture, whatever. Yes, but that number 3 line is when you bring all the documents and your documents are correct. This line or this sentence, who they back up the information in the system, is a good sign for you. Okay. The number 4 line is digitaliza el expediente. They trying to put those documents, your physical documents, in digital. And the last one, and they make an interview with you, or they do an interview with you. Okay, that is the point. This point is very important for you pass that interview, because a lot of foreigners, are rejected in this step in the interview. Why? Because the information sometimes are contrary other documents. Yes, I'm gonna explain with you in another broadcast how you are able, or how you can have a good interview with the official consular. Yes, I'm gonna explain with you in another broadcast. But this step is very important for you if you want to get your residency or your Mexican visa. Okay, when everything is okay, you pass that interview, the official consular authorizes your Mexican visa, and they stick that Mexican visa on your passport. But they know this, the official consular know this certain irregular information on the documents, they deny you. Yes, they reject that procedure with you. According this agreement who I show you, this procedure, the total in time are 50 minutes. Yes, I don't know, honestly. So I have different experience with different clients, but That's it the time for any Mexican consulate to finish with you. 50 minutes, this procedure. Okay? Different Mexican consulate have a deadline to give you that Mexican visa. Yes, if you pass the document, if you pass the interview, that Mexican consulate maybe give you that resolution in the same day, maybe more later, but in the same day. Or maybe they request you, hey, you need to come again 2 days, 3 days. And well, when you come, they put the Mexican visa. Yes, that's a sticker on your visa, on your passport, sorry. But well, they have this period in 10 calendar days is the average that Mexican consulate need to give you a resolution. Okay, that is the average, 10 calendar days. But again, some Mexican consulate give you a resolution in the same day, or maybe 3 days, um, 3 days um, after you go in that appointment. But well, those forever, I said you in the beginning. Any foreigner, any applicants have different cases, different experience. Yes, this is the diagram, and I show you this diagram on my presentation. I'm gonna come back again in that presentation. This is the diagram. Yes, I describe, or yes, I explain with you every step, and when I show you the agreement, because uh, they are the same information. Number one, recibe a la persona solicitante, identifica la razón por la cual acudió a esa oficina consular. And sorry, I need to charge my laptop because it's almost down. Mm, ok, again. Number one, recibe a la persona solicitante, identifica la razón por la que acudió a esa oficina, receive the intention to come here in this Mexican consulate. The number two is verifica la documentación, they check out your documents. For example, if your category is applied for financial solvency, apart the certain documents, they will check out your bank statement. Yes, if your bank statement um have this criteria to stamp and the signature about your bank, whatever criteria. Okay. Then number three is se van a volver con la documentación completa. Imagine that in this point, if when they check out your documents, you have two ways. If you don't bring correctly your documents, you forget any documents, like the number three in the top. Yes. Se recomienda volver con la documentación completa. What do you mean that? The step number three is if you don't bring correctly the documents, they request you, hey, you need to make another appointment because your documents are not correctly. Yes, they need to say with you what happened on your documents. Yes, they need to give you that criteria. But sometimes the Mexican consulate they didn't say you anything. Only say, hey, you are it's finished this interview with you because you don't bring correctly your documents or you don't apply for this category. Okay, I'm sorry for you. You need to make another appointment. This is the bad situation, the bad circumstance you happens in that way. Yes, but if your documents are correctly, you apply in the number step below. Is invita a efectuar el pago de derechos. Okay, they invite you pay the immigration the fee. Yes, that fee for that Mexican visa. Again, the first step who I read you, verifica la documentación, is very general. Yes, because they need to understand why you are here. Why are you here? Yes, This is the second step, verification de la documentación. But when you pay your fees about that procedure, they do um they will check out your documents again, but in detail because apply the number four. Revisa la documentación. In this scenario, and that official consular check out more in detail your documents. If the documents fall in that category are correctly, you don't have any mistake, you pass in the number five, in the step number five, captura en el sistema los datos biográficos and biométricos, backup in the system, the information, they take a picture, they take you print, whatever, yes? Um, but well, the number five sometimes is in the end. Why? Because before they check out the documents, and well, after when they check out the documents, in that in that time they start with the interview with you. Okay, in that interview, they ask what is your intention to go to Mexico, why you apply for this category, and you know someone who living in that in Mexico, where you go, whatever kind of questions. Yes, but when you pass that interview, happens the number step number five. Yes, in the real life, because in the agreement, in this written official written say after the number four, happen the number five. Back up your information on the system. Yes. And the number six is they do that interview with you. And the number seven say they, print your Mexican visa and stick that on your passport. Yes, according to agreement. But in the real life, before pass in the number step number five, and they bring and jump jump to the step number six, the four to six. Why? The number six is they do that interview with you. Well, that what is the time to finish the procedure and obtain your resolution, your Mexican visa in the same day, or the maximum is 10 days. Okay, this is the Mexican visa. This Mexican visa is very important for you and stick on your passport. Yes. Well, when you got it, when you have this Mexican visa, congratulations, you finish the first step in this journey to get residency here in my country. You finish the first step in the Mexican consulate. In this step, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's stressful. It's stressful because make an appointment is not easy. It's stressful because sometimes some certain Mexican consulates they didn't give you the update information about your category. But well, when you finish this step, congratulations. Okay, when you got it, you have 180 days to come to Mexico. Not the next day. Yes. Why I put this, timeline? Because I saw in certain comments on Facebook who asked, hey, what happened after I get my Mexican visa? Because I am not able to trip to Mexico the next day or the next week or the next month. No, it's complicated for me trip to Mexico and change this Mexican visa by for my resident card. Okay, you need to understand when you got this Mexican visa, you have 180 days to come to Mexico. 6 months. Yes, you have that time. My recommendation for you is trying to be aware about that deadline. Okay, it's important for you because if you don't respect that deadline, you again and you need to do the procedure again. Okay, trying to be aware in this circumstance. Well, what's happened when you got that Mexican visa? In this circumstance, start the second step. What is the second step? Comes to Mexico. When you comes to Mexico, it's important for you and don't go in the e-gate, those machines who that you show your passport and then scan your passport because if you do that, you lose your residency. Okay, it will you lose this procedure. You are able to fix that, but it's not easy. You need to do and varieties of options. But honestly, my recommendation for you is go to the INM staff, who they are always in the airport, and you need to go with them because the first step for you, point for you is don't show your passport. The the top information about your passport. Show your Mexican visa is the first point that you need to do. When you see an immigration staff on the airport, show your Mexican visa. Because when they see your Mexican visa, a conscience for them, they know this. Okay, this person comes to Mexico for any procedure. What is the procedure? Get residency, yes, or change your Mexican visa for a resident card. Okay, but if you don't do that, they put you as a tourist. Yes, it's important for you show your Mexican visa. When you get this stamp, because for example, in this part, I show you this stamp. It's very important for you got it on your Mexican visa. For example, this is a stamp. Because the correct rhythm that the immigration staff need to put on your Mexican visa is this stamp with the rhythm Canje. Yes, if you don't see that, be aware because maybe you don't do the correct way. Yes, the immigration staff need to put on your Mexican visa this rhythm Canje and another rhythm 30 days. Why? Because in this new procedure for obtain your resident card, you have 30 calendar days to exchange, sorry, your Mexican visa to resident card. Yes, you have 30 calendar days. Another point is this one. For example, on your passport, when you got your stamp, you need to do another circumstance. For have FMM. In Spanish is Formato Migratorio Múltiple. You are able to do that on digital on your phone. Well, this is digital, honestly. But when you do that, you are able to do that when you finish your stamp, and maybe 1 hour, 2 hours after you got your stamp, or sometimes it's quickly. You need to check out in your FMM appear this point. For example, maybe you read this sentence, uso oficial is the official using. Maybe you notice that say canje. Yes, I hope you notice that. You look at X. Well, in that word say canje. If your FMM didn't say that or didn't mark in that shape, you do you did the wrong way. Yes, you leave that circumstance. My recommendation for you, if you hired an immigration facilitator, trying to call them, try to call your immigration facilitator, because they need to fix that. They need to help you in that circumstance, because I've told you, if no, it's a problem for you. It's a problem for your procedure. Okay, that is the point, guys. If you don't hire an immigration facilitator or immigration lawyer, honestly, trying to ask the immigration staff how they can fix that circumstance. Yes, because if you live in that airport without the correct information for them, you lose everything. Yes, you lose your opportunity to exchange your Mexican visa at your resident card. You lose this procedure. Trying to be aware. That is my recommendation. But well, guys, when you do that correctly, you have your FMM, and that FMM say Canje, mark in the correct, um, shape, and your Mexican passport, Mexican visa say this rhythm Canje in 30 days. What happens in that circumstance? Okay, what happens? In this point, is the same as in the Mexican consulate. Yes, you need to make an appointment. You forget that circumstance that they go to the INM office and show you Mexican visa, and they give you your resident card. It's no works like this. Appointment. Yes, you need to register in the official website in the Instituto Nacional de Migración, INM. When you register that, I told you, when you make this format, this FMM who appear in this image, you register. Yes, but when you do your appointment, you need to create password, and you need to create your account. Yes, account and your passport. When you do that, you need to do that correct procedure. The name is Canje, Canje Migratorio. That is the name about this procedure. And you need to fill in digital and format, because that format gives you a number. Yes, a particular number who is very necessary for you, because that number allow you to make your appointment. If you don't do that, if you don't have that number, you are not able to make an appointment in that official website. Yes, it's necessary for you, it's mandatory for you, and fill in this procedure. The name again is Canje Migratorio. Yes, if you do that, trying to dive in that procedure, Canje Migratorio, and fill that format in digital. Put Be aware how you fill that format, because you need to put the correct information. And when you finish that, that format gives you a number, and that number is necessary for you, because with that number you are able to make your appointment. Well, apart about that format, you need to bring another documents. But what is the intention here? My intention for you is not the next broadcast. In future podcasts, I'm going to explain with you what are those documents. Yes, but in this circumstance, it's very general. My point is, before go to the INM office, and you need to make your appointment. Yes, but you need to consider that you only have 30 calendar days. Don't allow finish that deadline or that timeline, because if you finish that, you fall in irregularization. Yes, in regularization, that is the norm. Well, in this circumstance, the INM are more you know, push harder with you, and they give the resolution more, um, not quickly. Yes, because imagine that you consider 30 calendar days and you comes to Mexico in this time. But if you fall in regularization, you need to stay more longer time here in my country because they have, according this procedure in this regularization, 20 calendar days and give you a resolution. Yes, but sometimes INM take more time, 3 months, and give you a resolution. Yes, however, please avoid it. Consider that you have 30 calendar days to exchange your Mexican visa. The bad scenario is you finish your 30 calendar days and you finish your timeline in regularization. Okay, when you finish those opportunities, your procedure is lost. Yes, you lose your this procedure to be residency here in my country. That is the circumstance. However, please consider your times when you comes to Mexico. Okay. And well, when you do that, this is the last one. You get your resident card, and the point here is you need to bring those correct documents. Who is your format? The pieza is in Spanish. You need to. I want to send with you here right now. I trying to write down. You didn't know about it, but I told you in future broadcasts I'm going to explain with you what are those documents. You need to bring your pieza, and you need to bring your FMM. This document, who I've showed you, this one, the formato migratorio múltiple. It's very important for you bring that, and you need to make read them for request your exchange about your resident card, and you need to in between another documents. Okay, format basic, but I don't know what happened in English. I know my English is no. Maybe you notice that it's not correctly, but I'm trying to do the best, guys. And honestly, but well, be patient with me. Um, but well, those kinds of documents are very important for you. Bring them before goes at your appointment. Yes, but when you bring all those documents and your documents are correctly the same point as the Mexican consulate, they and the immigration staff check out your documents. They check out that you bring all the documents. Your documents filled correctly, and you don't have any mistake. Congratulations, they give you this resident card. In this circumstance, depend on the immigration office. They will give you that resident card in the same day, or in 1 week or 2 weeks. All depends of them. Yes, consider that. Consider your time to come to Mexico. No, I know in certain Facebook groups say, "Hey, in the same day I got my resident card. Hey, in 2 days I got my resident card." But I said you in the beginning, any applicant or any foreigner have their own experience, their own cases, and not because they are lucky. Maybe in that office they are more quickly. You need to understand that because, for example, if you go to Mexico City, that cosmopolitan city, you are not only that person who do this procedure. Yes, there are a lot applicants or a lot people who they have a Mexican visa, and they trying to change that Mexican visa in Merida, for example, and sometimes they give you this resident card in the same day, or the maximum is 1 week or 2 weeks. All depends what happened in this office. Yes, but in addition, I forget that no all the immigration office, you need to do an appointment. Yes, you need to do that format because it's necessary for you. But sometimes there are certain immigration office that what you don't need and make an appointment in the official website. I'll give you two examples. For example, in I forget that thing, but here in Yucatan, because I live in Yucatan, and there's an INM office in Progreso. In Progreso, you don't need to make an appointment. You are able to walk in that office, but you need to bring all the documents and you need to go there so early before that office open. Yes, because all the INM office opens in the 9 a.m. and close in 3 p.m. Okay, in that office in Progreso, you don't need to make an appointment, but you need to go early. Yes, because you are not that the only person. There are foreigners who they do the same as you. Okay, that is my recommendation. Another point, I forget. I forget the net another office. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, sorry guys, sorry, I forget that. But well, that is the last one. If you pass all those points, congratulations, you got your resident card. And well, guys, this is the summarize in the Mexican consulate. When you got your appointment and you pass all those steps who I explained with you in the beginner, maybe in that Mexican consulate give you in the same day your visa or your Mexican visa. Yes, your visa sticker, but depend on the Mexican consulate. Yes, and when you got it, you need to come to Mexico. Remember, you have 180 days 180 days to come to Mexico. But when you come to Mexico, you have 30 days in finish this new procedure. What is the name about that procedure? Canje, canje migratorio. Okay. And in this circumstance, you are able to get that resident card in the same day or in 1 week or 2 weeks. All depend on that INM office. Why is my goal to share with you this information? Guys, I share with you because you need to understand the bureaucracy is very normal in my country, maybe in your country too. But here in Mexico, I told you in the beginning, there are certain immigration office who they give resolution more quickly and others not. But the circumstance here is don't complain. If you hire an immigration facilitator, and that immigration facilitator have a good reputation, don't complain about the day. Consider your time comes to Mexico. Yes, don't put pressure to the immigration facilitator or your immigration lawyer. I know we have that responsibility on you, but the point here, you and I depend or rely on the INM office or in the Mexican consulate. Yes, immigration facilitators or immigration lawyers, we are not working in those institutes. Yes, we are independent. The point here is relying on them. You rely on them. In my case, I rely on them. Rely on them. Yes. Sorry for my English, guys. But well, guys, that's it in this presentation. I hope honestly, and this information is very worthy for you. And thank you so much. You finish this presentation with me. And guys, if you like this YouTube channel, please try to subscribe. I do the best and share with you the information. And I know these certain comments who they complain about my English. And my answer is, and I'm sorry for it. And I do the best to improve my English. But you need to understand that maybe you are not able to speak in Spanish. Maybe you speak no proficiency in Spanish. But when you come to Mexico and you use another foreign language, sometimes you sound completely weird, or maybe you feel that nobody inside yourself, you feel that nobody understands you. But my point here, people who they respect you and they are empathic with you, they make that effort to understand you. Yes, I am again Mexican people when meet foreigners who they trying to speak Spanish, not complete Spanish, but sometimes a small sentence or small vocabulary, we understand completely the context. Yes, Mexican people trying to make a force understand you and support you without criticize you accent about your Spanish because we understand that you speak English or maybe you speak French or maybe you speak Russian, sorry, or another foreign language, but learn a new language is not easy. And practice this language is not easy. My circumstance is because nobody here in my home is speaking English. Yes, I am the only person who trying to use this language and trying to do the best using this language. I'll imagine that if you comes to Mexico and you immerse in this culture, maybe you are able to get Spanish more quickly than me in English. Yes, but I'm trying to do the best, guys. I'm sorry for those people who they criticize my English, but if you are not patient with me, I invite you follow, subscribe in another YouTube channel who maybe they have a better English than me, and trying to subscribe with them. But my intention for you, I showed you in the beginning that agreement, all in Spanish. If you are able to read in Spanish, you are able to speak in Spanish, trying to find the correct information. But if you don't do that, and those YouTube channel, they didn't give you those kinds of information. But well, guys, you need to be patient because if your intention is comes to Mexico, you need to be patient and understand this language. But well, guys, that is my answer. And again, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. And well, I see you in the next broadcast. The next Wednesday, I have another broadcast. Okay, take care. Nos vemos en la próxima. Bye bye.